Mr. Andreas, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. Good to see you.
Likewise, likewise. Here, let me fix the last bit of audio. I was rushing a league on Casino Storm right before this, so I was trying to turbo out two leagues in 5 minutes, and we got there. Granted, the it was a 3-2 and a 2-3, but granted the last game I scooped, so we'll count that at 2-2.
Casino Storm. Isn't that somewhat controversial in the US? Very split, where you can actually gamble, right?
Yeah, it is, but Casino Storm is. Wait, I'm talking about a Magic deck, by the way. I don't know if you know. Oh, so what we in
Of
our
course.
in
Oh,
in
I
the
know what you're talking about, like
oh
some
okay,
black fast saga deck.
yeah,
I
exactly.
just randomly got to think about that. I know some US people who moved to Europe to play poker online, and it just seems unreasonable that you have a lot of like the fantasy sports thing, but you can't play a sport, a mind sport like poker
Yeah,
legally. It's kind of funny.
the sports gambling is starting to become like a big topic in the U.S. because of how much money it generates. But I have no reason to talk. My fiance's brother is very involved in the sports gambling scene. And let's just say we get free, really nice tickets to a lot of games.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to worry about your close circle and not think about bigger problems. That's
Yeah,
totally reasonable. I
yeah,
know that for sure.
100%, 100%. So I sent you the deck. What do you think?
So my first thoughts were the Mox Diamond with a relatively low land count seems like an odd choice. I take this as your attempt to find like let's say a fifth ancient tomb to
Ex-
leverage some of your stuff.
Not necessarily a fifth ancient tomb. What I'm using it as is a way to convert ancient tombs into mana.
Okay, so something about your colored sources and making up for
Exactly.
them. Okay, that's interesting and certainly something Mox Diamond does a good job of. It's very rare that you see it in a two-color deck though.
The
Um,
it
but I guess prismatic ending, there's something there. Second thing is, I notice your sideboard is very low on graveyard hate, and you trimmed on the thralls. So I guess that's just between not as many Atraxas entering the battlefield type of deal. And then you want to try out the new flying null rod guy.
Unfortunately he's not out yet, so I had to makeshift the sideboard really quickly because
Okay,
Clarion's not on Moto yet. But Clarion
got
I
it.
think will help the Nadu matchup. In fact, I think that card might just make the Nadu matchup like go from like mediocre to like actually like good. Because
Okay,
the fact
yeah,
that it attacks both Shuko and Nomads is kind of insane.
yeah, that's exactly the type of card you want because sometimes you're messing around with needle or null rod or cursed totem, and they don't really do the job. And the good thing about that card is it actually just attacks for 3 when the coast is
Exactly.
clear. So
Exactly.
so that has a lot of value in my book as well. You hedge it a little bit for show and tell, I can see. Single single meddling mage. You still look a bit soft to show and tell, I will say.
I just don't know how to tackle that matchup outside of just throwing more spell pierces. And I have one spell pierce in the main as a way of respecting it, but that's a matchup that I was. It's like Hull Breacher can sometimes get them, sometimes. Um, I had a sick game on stream like a few days ago where they show and telled, and I had to do a soul read. So on my show and tell, I put meddling mage naming Emrakul,
Right.
and that was crazy. My opponent played that very well, but I just got super lucky that I was able to get them on that.
Yeah. That's
But
that's cool. So it
uh,
looks like you have a lot of removal spells, and of course the Hull Breacher slot is up for debate. It's hitting a lot of decks, but it's not KOing any decks, if that makes sense. So it's upgrading you against all, let's call it Ponder decks, but
Ponder
it's not KOing anybody.
it
And
oh, go ahead.
maybe you need to KO show and tell with some cards. Let's see how the meta develops.
Yeah, so right now the meta's still in free flux. My prediction for the meta is that Oops is going to be the de facto combo deck, like the traditional like Storm turn one, like all-in combo deck. It's going to be Oops. I think Omnitel is kind of an all-in combo deck, but it's much more resilient, obviously, but you don't have as much explosivity.
Yeah.
Um, And then Nadu obviously blends. Like Nadu is almost like Painter in a lot of ways. Like I view
Yeah,
Nadu and
definitely.
Painter to be very similar decks,
Yeah,
and that they are a mid-range deck that have a strong combo finish. But the difference is the Nadu combo is much more doesn't end the game on the spot, but it's also significantly harder to interact with.
yeah.
Um,
This is a good analogy. Breakfast is also in the same kind of.
yeah,
It's kind of. It's, let's say, flavors of Splinter Twin, right? So you can still kill them with Tarmogoyfs, but you also have to respect you can die on the spot. So those decks have that in common. You know,
yeah,
Breakfast, Painter, and Nadu decks, right? They have this A plus B you cannot let happen, but they also have a somewhat functioning deck without those parts.
yeah,
So that's stuff. That's how I view it anyway, and I think it's a pretty reasonable way to think about how good decks in general work these days, where
yeah,
there's a threat of something that puts stress on the opponent. You remember the last Tuesday when we had Johan Larsson on here? We
yeah,
talked a lot about that, or I tried to highlight the points where he put pressure on you and stress on your cantrips and holding up interaction and playing around days and all of that because you don't want to die on the spot, right? And
yeah,
while he's just gaining a little bit of value every time you respect that and you don't nail it, right? But
yeah,
the deck is also ready to pounce if you don't respect it. So
yeah.
very, very interesting,
And
interesting stuff.
at least with the breakfast combo, it's like my deck specifically is very well positioned to actually just let the breakfast combo resolve, like if it's just the cephalid, and fight over that.
Right.
Um, because like if they go because the memories journey line specifically doesn't work against my deck because even if they once they put the Thos Oracle in play, even if they memories journey, they can't kill me anymore. Like I've won games where they memories journey and I just sat there because they
Yeah.
literally
You got
cannot win the game anymore.
Oracle is in play, so
Yeah.
they can't get rid of it. Yeah, that's definitely interesting. When it comes to today's topic, you suggested we went through a
Hmm.
couple of live matches,
Yeah.
and I have a few thoughts about that. So, Magic is a game where we work on our theoretical understanding, we research, we think about our own plans, but at the end of the day, we also have to put those plans to use within the rules of the game, whether that's a 50-minute round at paper tournament or it's 25-minute chess clock on Magic Online. And that is Magic is easy if you just have to lean back. You have infinite time to dissect a certain turn, and then you make the right play. But
Yeah.
we have to practice so hard that we can actually do it in a proper time as well, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to share a small story about this. So last year I qualified for the Mox via Legacy,
Hmm.
and in my semifinals, my opponent plays a Battle Cry Goblin. I think that's the name of it. The 2-drop that pumps the other guys.
Yeah.
They play that into their own chalice for 2 and lose the race. So, and in the finals, my opponent stacked his Uro triggers in the opposite order, so I got the chance to endurance the Uro in the control mirror and win the match. So this is basically just to say that they obviously know that both of those things are wrong, but because of the pressure, time, stakes, they just mishandled the situation, misclicked, brain farted, punted, whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
So it's basically just to say that we practice and we think about the game and we go through scenarios. We sit here and work hard so that we hopefully don't do that under pressure. But
Right.
it's a lot easier to do, in theory, laid back. Oh, obviously, you just pump your guys and win the race. But he played a goblin, it got countered, and it was like, oh boy, and that just lost the game.
Yeah.
So it's just to say that it's going to be harder for us to do well today in,
Yeah. For sure.
live Magic than thinking about a match that was already played with perfect info with Johan last week. We were all geniuses, right?
Right.
So we practiced so we can also be geniuses in real time.
And obviously we're playing on camera. And I appreciate that you said last time we spoke that your win rate when you're on camera is significantly lower than your win rate when you're off
Oh,
camera.
oh, definitely. I'm an average Joe when I press record.
Chat, YouTube viewers, I have see. I'm not coping. I'm not coping when I punt on stream. It's actually hard to play. like well magic six
Well,
hours
at
in a
least for
row.
me, you would think after a year of making YouTube videos,
Hmm.
but it's still just not the same. So
No.
whenever I shut down, I put on my jogging clothes and I
Yeah.
sit there and relax, then I can do everything.
Yeah.
But with the camera on, playing, entertaining, talking through lines, thinking out loud, average Joe, average
Yeah.
Joe.
I mean, like I always bring up in the Legacy qualifier where I was able to top 16 it, which is like a pretty big event, a very high EV event. That game I always bring up is like when I want to play at my peak, I don't even have a recording of it, which I kind of regret, um,
Right.
because I just didn't think about it.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I played that game totally just like off camera, just focused, like those
Yeah.
games off camera and focused, and it was it
It's
obviously
two very
did well.
different things.
Yeah.
You also love to make content, so
Yeah, I like to
it's
stream a lot. It's fun.
let's just say it's a good choice to have. You have two invitations for two birthday parties at the same night, so you can choose whichever you want to go to. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah. I'll pick. I usually know which birthday party I'm going to, the one that I have more fun doing, but I like the other one too,
Yeah,
especially when the stakes are high or higher. Because that's the thing with
yeah.
like
I mean,
challenges, it's like the stakes aren't really high enough to like find a time, stream it, and then because I'm gonna spend 8 hours playing a low stakes thing of Magic, I am gonna stream it, and I don't consider challenges to be very high stakes anymore, considering there's like literally six a week or something now. There's two. There's two on Sunday, Saturday, Wednesday, right?
it's five.
Five. It's
It's
five.
five.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
It's less special to win a challenge these days. But I take them as opportunities to get reps against other players who are also
yeah,
serious about the game. So yeah, but it's harder to schedule and all of that stuff. So again, pick whatever suits your life and be happy with
why
it.
is the Wednesday challenge at 4 p.m.? It's supposed to be the one that for Americans, but 4 p.m. is such a brutal time because I can't get out of my office before like 4 o'clock. No way. Like,
Yeah,
why is
true.
it? What are the West Coast people? West Coast people can't play a 2 p.m. challenge anyway. I'm gonna send an email to Daybreak saying that Wednesday challenge should be later. But anyway, um, do you want to hop into these games?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right,
Let's.
let's
I
do
just
it.
wanted to set the table a little bit with regards to the whole resource management thing, which is big, because a lot of players, they lean back, they watch my YouTube video, and then they go, "Oh, at 33 minutes and 28 seconds, I think you should have done this," which is very reasonable.
Yeah,
But it's just to say that it's two different games, real time versus in theory with nothing on the line, right?
yeah. So this hand
Unknown
is,
matchup. You win the die roll.
I would keep this, and it's a very risky keep. But I have force backup. I have turn two Dreadnought. If I draw,
What makes it risky? It's one of my favorite words to discuss in Magic. So you can. Why is this risky?
if my Torpor Orb gets forced, it's not the end of the world, but we only have one land. So we're really off the top of our deck. The
So you
Lobber's
need to get so you need to get double forced, right?
I need to get double force. And the other problem is if this resolves and they're a daze deck and they daze my Dreadnought, I'm also pretty behind at that point too. So there's a
So the
lot of
opponent
ways.
needs double interaction
Yeah,
in on turn 0 or 1 for this to go bad.
yeah. And I
Yeah, I
have
think
force.
on the other hand, I'll say this has insane upside.
Yeah,
If the
exactly.
opponent is a fast combo deck, you have the force. If the opponent is affected by Torpor Orb, it's awesome.
Yeah,
If the standard run out here is that resolves, you fight over the Dreadnought and you tempo out the opponent, like regardless of the matchup. So
yeah.
it's just to say that any hand in Magic is risky, any choice in Magic is, can go wrong in some way, but this is likely to go well for you. So I'm excited to see this hand.
We're also weak to just any removal spell. Uh,
Your opponent can also wasteland you. I think that's actually the biggest risk, which is the most likely one, right? So when I
yeah,
say biggest, it's the most likely to happen. It's again the frequency of that happening is somewhat high because
they're gonna see the Lotus Petal and they're gonna think if we can wasteland, it puts them off.
they are also thinking if you had another land, you would have played it to not get wasted here. So they
Yeah.
get a little bit of info here. Your hand is pretty all in, but even if you get wasted, any mana source produces a 12/12.
Yes.
So
Yep. And if we get Ancient Tomb, we have a hasty 12/12.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Let's go for that one.
Once upon a time. So this is either oops or cradle. If it's
Yeah,
oops,
that
we're
sounds.
really happy. It's cradle. Okay.
Yeah, it's not. We get to see that card,
Never
so
force this. But now Dreadnought is basically in the clear because they have no removal game one.
zero grist.
They don't run Grist anymore.
Okay.
This is really interesting.
Yeah, let's hear it. Why is this interesting?
If I would rather ponder to guarantee I hit my land drop because then I'm not falling behind on lands. If I don't hit a land drop, it's disastrous for me. And
Yeah.
now I don't think I'm supposed to ponder here because ultimately I know their deck. I know they have a White of the Reliquary. I'm gonna force the Knight of the Reliquary because that's the only way they can survive 2 turns. Because what they're gonna do is if they play Knight right here, I'm gonna force it. If I don't force it, they can buy another turn via sacking the Ignoble Hierarch to get the phase out land.
Alan. Yeah.
Yeah. So my play here is just play Dreadnought Pass.
Yeah, I like it a lot. And now we keep coming back to this, but it's one of my favorite topics. It's the frequency versus the importance. So math will say that the majority of the time you hit your land drop from this ponder. Okay, fair enough. Math checks out. But what about the importance? I think you used the correct word when you said it would be a disaster if you don't. So that's sometimes a choice you have to make. You need to make a choice that is you're not likely to get punished, but you don't want to expose yourself to getting
Right.
punished, and that's I fully agree with this. We see this a lot in with let's say you only have brainstorm as your force so will fodder, then sometimes you just don't cast the brainstorm because bricking on a blue card would be disastrous. It's the
Yeah.
same logic. So I like this a lot. So you drew a brainstorm, so now you have 2 plays. So what's your logic here between the cantrips?
Ponder because I can shuffle, and that's basically the gist of it.
Okay, so what about this before you cast it? There exists a world where you want to exchange the boots in your hand and get 2 new cards with Brainstorm.
Yeah. The other,
Um,
I also would
yeah,
like to find force for uh, natural order. Now, I'm not super concerned about it because I have Torpor Orb in play, so Atrax is a lot worse. But if I don't find a natural, if I don't find a force, then I need to find a plow. So I need one of those 2 things here.
yes. So for that purpose, the Ponder is as good as the
Yeah,
Brainstorm. Plus, it
exactly.
doesn't have the bricking potential. So
Exactly.
let's say you were in a situation where you needed like a combination of 2 cards. Then Brainstorm was the card that could get you to 2 pieces at the same time.
Here's
So
interesting. I would actually
what do you,
keep this
okay, with the intention of doing what?
because I'm gonna put the Flooded Strand on bottom, play the Ancient Tomb, play the Lava Spur Boots now, and then what I
Okay,
can do is if they play Atraxa, they can block with Atraxa, but I can dress down and kill the Atraxa and not lose my Dreadnought in the process, and then also be able to brainstorm with the Flooded Strand.
okay. So Flooded Strand bottom, dress down in the middle, draw tomb.
Yep, and just play the
Okay.
boots.
So with this in mind, we should have pondered first main
Yeah, because I
because
could have gotten one more
because
damage.
ancient tomb off the ponder, keeping some let's call them mediocre cards was a scenario. So in a perfect world, we think about this and get in for 1 more damage.
Yeah,
Okay. That's also good to the. What's the reason to ponder first main? What's the reason to ponder after? Because your opponent was tapped out, so nothing could happen in the meantime. Usually, you will cantrip on your second main phase if something can happen on combat that will change your route. But here, there was actually 0 things that could happen. So the optimal play is first main phase, ponder.
the only
Um,
yeah, the one. So they have the natural. They do have the natural order. That's fine.
I'm excited. I'm excited for this. Let's see how this plays out. Do they play any, fancy things like some disenchant creatures? Okay, they don't. So now they get a life linker, which is right currently trading for the Dreadnought, as far as they know,
Yeah,
with emphasis on as far as they know. It's
yeah.
because you're a genius who kept the dress down on top, foreseeing exactly what could happen. And I just want to highlight this for everybody. Everyone knows a lot about the opponent's deck that lets him make this play. He saw this coming. He knew, okay, if I get natural ordered, the opponent will block. I'll dress down to remove the death touch, and then I just have the opponent still has the same problem on the following
Yeah.
turn. So that's just, it goes a long way to research the format, and this is pretty awesome to see because you had this scripted. It's like this was a recorded game.
The I played this deck so much, and the amount of times I've killed Atraxas with dress downs is kind of absurd. It's a line that comes up very often, especially in the reanimator meta, because you would frequently stifle its trigger, or you'd have a torpor orb and you stop the trigger, and you
Yeah.
would need to kill the Atrax somehow. And this is one of the most common ways to kill it.
Yeah, perfect. So, oh, the opponent probably forgets that trample also goes away here.
Yeah, but they also probably know, like I know, there's nothing in their deck they can draw here at this point outside of ripping what's it called? Outside of ripping a natural Talon Gates. So
Yeah,
the
which doesn't accomplish anything because you need to kind of repeat.
yeah,
Yeah, your opponent should have kept you guessing here. Take a draw and say it wasn't a grist, and then scoop it up. The opponent should keep you guessing here.
they don't run Grist anymore.
Well, the stock list doesn't, but he should keep you guessing. That's just what I'm
Oh,
saying.
yeah. I see what you're saying. So here, pretty simple. I bring in Grafdigger's Cage. I bring in all my removal. I take out my forces. I take out my basics because they never attack our mana. And then I bring all these in. And then that's a perfect cut.
So let's see. You remove the basics because your mana is not under pressure. You add all your removal spells because you're playing against the creature deck. I like this. So just to finish the point I just said, that the opponent should keep you guessing. This is something that happens a lot in Vintage Cube, where if I have like a very dominating board, and my opponent concedes before facing lethal, I know they don't have a sweeper, which is, it's just unnecessary equity to give up that I don't have Wrath, I don't have Winds of Abandon, I don't have whatever, Fiery Confluence, whatever the case may be. So whenever I see like a blue-white opponent concede there, it's just very, very good information. So in this case, yeah, I mean, sure, there's a stock list and everything, but it's not unreasonable to run a Grist in that deck, I would argue.
They used to run it, and it's definitely one of the better cards you can get, especially in a creature-focused meta. So I mean, I like Grist a lot. It's in my bug shit pile deck. It's my favorite card in
Yeah.
there. I have a Russian foil Grist. I love that
It's
card.
it's a cool card.
It is a cool card.
Just good design. Just 3 mana Planeswalker that isn't absurd. That's just good.
I Yeah, it's one of my favorite designed cards because you need a board to do it. Oh, this hand is the nuts.
Talk to me.
Ancient Tomb, Torpor Orb, and then turn 2 Null Drifter. That's effectively game over for so many decks in the format.
Yeah, that's definitely not bad. So is there any play the opponent can make where you slow down and plow them turn one?
No, not the only thing maybe is Elvish Reclaimer, but even then, I think the strength of getting the Null Drifter is so high on turn 2 that delaying it 2 turns to plow, I think, is a net negative on your win rate, even if in the
Yeah.
moment it feels better. Because in current Cradle list, they're really off of a lot of utility lands. The only real utility land they have is Talon Gates.
Yeah.
And Talon Gates, generally the play pattern is they Talon Gates out my Enabler, but they can't Talon Gates out a Torpor Orb.
That is correct. You can't do that. So I'm just looking at Newton's list here for reference
Yeah,
to see if there's anything spicy. So the opponent has a bunch of snuff outs in the sideboard. Do you expect to see those?
I expect all 4.
So if that happens, we still got our draw 2 off the Null Drifter.
Exactly.
So obviously that's amazing. It looks like we're drowning in card advantage here.
This is actually kind of a problem in this matchup because generally it's not cards that we need, it's a removal that we need, and
Yeah.
it's doesn't always work out super well. But here it's kind of interesting. We're actually gonna go to okay, so they tapped out. They didn't play anything here, which means they're holding
Mm-hmm.
up removal. If they're holding up Force of Vigor, it's a bit of a blowout, but the thing is, even if they're holding up Force of Vigor, they lose 2 cards. We lose 2 cards, but we go up 2 cards, so we're net up 2 cards. They're gonna have 2 cards in hand, and we're still gonna have 7.
I think the opponent also took a mulligan this game to add to that
Yes.
kind of advantageous way of thinking about card advantage. So why would the opponent not attack there?
Either they're holding up Endurance, They're holding up
Yeah,
something, but the thing is, I
yeah.
actually don't know what instant speed interaction this deck could possibly have that isn't Snuffed Out or Force of Vigor. So
Well, I
I
can
think
think of Seiju. Does that deck run a single Seiju?
I don't think so, but even then, I'm still up so many cards if they Beseiju me that
Yeah, yeah. I'm just one. Yeah, it must be endurance. But I guess I'm just doubtful if that card is good in the matchup.
no, it's definitely not. Which is why I think it was wrong for them to not attack. Because even if they have Beseiju, they can just fetch the Burning Catacombs.
Yeah, Beseiju is not the reason.
Okay, well, we got in.
It's kind of interesting that you're so sure about like them playing the stock list. That is actually quite. I'm not going to say it's unique, but it's the day you get, bowmastered in that spot will come. Oh, I guess there's no Torpor doesn't exactly help against that. You can get. It's just interesting how much space there is because live by the blade, die by the blade. Like you have a lot of Brewer's advantage. So in
Hmm.
theory, there would be advantage to playing like Bowmasters, Grist, or whatever, and switching
Yeah.
up the stock list, right? It's just interesting how confident you are that no Bowmaster, no Grist, no. It's just cool that it's so predictable.
This was
Oh,
not what I was expecting.
there,
Speaking of
there's
which,
there's my argument out the window, or my analysis out the window when it comes to you knowing for sure what's going on there. So yeah, you and talk about living and dying by the blade. That's one of your favorite cards.
that is one of my favorite cards. So here we're in a bit of a predicament now.
So now your source of pleasure has become Stone Rain, so not exactly
Well,
the
we'd have
most.
Dress Down. Oh, wait, this makes this whole turn so much easier now, actually.
Yeah, what can we do here?
It's Otawara, play Dress Down with the Ancient Tomb. With the 1 mana for floating from the Ancient Tomb, we play Dreadnought and we plow the Safekeeper.
Yeah, I like it a lot. The Otawara, so we have to do that first to hold up white mana. Love to see it. So
Dress
now we
Down.
get to the cool thing is here this is stifled at cantrips. So even if our Dreadnought gets killed, we're still, doing fine in the raw
Yeah.
resource race. Playing the Safekeeper, I
Yeah.
agree about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only thing we can plow before we can't plow anything else.
Yeah, so there would have to be some kind of soul read. If we kill the other card, then, we can maybe strand natural order in our opponent's hand.
I played against Cradle so much, and one of the biggest reasons I used to lose my early games at Cradles is I would respect the mana dorks too much, and I've learned to
Yeah.
never respect the mana dorks.
Yeah, I think in this particular version, I would guess that 95 times out of 100, it's good to just let them have whatever mana.
Here they're gonna Green Suns, probably for Web Strike Elite. This was a
Okay, so
plot
they are
twist I was not expecting.
they are cooking a bit here. So that is a disenchant when you cycle.
Yep. Now it's not
Okay.
really a problem because I just have Saga now to get another Dreadnought with another Enabler and Doorkeeper Thrall.
Oh, definitely. You have a lot of gas here. You don't care about one-for-one answers. You care about what happens in the meantime.
Yeah.
Um, and it looks like the opponent is not using that time, as scary as they could.
So here I want to use my mana this turn. So I think my play is probably Otawara, Ponder, see what happens. I don't want to stock up because I don't want an Ancient Tomb, and I don't think I need
So
to.
when you're saying see what happens, so let's try and finish that sentence. What can happen off this ponder?
Because if I see a Dreadnought, I'm just gonna play Dreadnought here. If I see a Drifter, I will probably put it on top. If I, it really depends on what I see on Ponder before
Okay,
I
but
can like say anything.
Dreadnought is a good
Yeah,
reason to cast this ponder. I'm just want to make sure that when we cast a ponder, we actually tell ourselves what we can hit.
Dreadnought, Grafdigger's Cage. The only thing with Grafdigger's Cage is if we put it in play, we can't get the Dreadnought off the Saga, which is
Yeah,
something to keep in mind. But I also think we can also just make some big boy constructs, and it's like
yeah,
fine too.
yeah. I like this a lot.
And we know their hand is Noble Hierarch, which is effectively nothing.
Yes, exactly.
So we drew Path to Exile, Torpor Orb. I don't actually want any of these right now. Path to
Wait a minute, why?
Well, because I don't really need the Torpor Orb. It opens myself up to Force of Vigor too much, which I don't think they have, but there's no reason to open ourselves up with Doorkeeper Thrall. If they have another Snuff Out, which there's two in the yard, this is worse. So in theory, what I could do... So here's the thing. It's not terrible, because what I can do is tap out Ancient Tomb, play Torpor Orb, play Saga, and have Doorkeeper Thrall, and I'm double insulated to get my Dreadnought in, while keeping a
Hmm.
Path to Exile on top.
Yeah.
The only thing is I know my deck and I think I can find better. Now, to be fair, with two stock ups, maybe it doesn't matter and we just play it safe because we can always just get good cards later. I think you could go
Mm,
either way. I'd probably shuffle this, but I think you could go
I
either way
I
on it.
I want to keep this. So how let me put it this way. How do you lose this game? Because we can both agree you're in the driver's seat, right? So
Yeah,
how do you possibly lose this game?
I tap myself too low with Ancient Tomb and they get there with a cat. Is the most
Okay.
likely way I lose this game.
Okay. Then I take my no drawback plow any day of the week because this deck is a 2 forest deck as well, like
Yeah,
just tiny upside. Um, yeah, I think it's too hard to say no to this.
yeah.
I take these cards. I do what you said about the 2/2 drops and leave the path on top. Um, so sure, I better better cards set of cards exist, but I don't want to see a couple of lands in a row here. I think this is quite good.
I actually wouldn't mind a couple lands just so I could stop tapping this Ancient Tomb and use my stock ups. But I think this is like I think it's fine either way. I think this is definitely safer, and I think there's no reason to not be safe, which is a fair point. And also we guarantee
Yeah, I
our
think it has a
removal.
lot to do with the sense of urgency, and I feel like this game is ours to.
Oh, looks like it's a good thing we kept it. Save.
Yeah, I mean everything they can do has to do with creatures.
Yeah.
So I like my plow a lot. Are you trading? You're not trading,
No,
right?
no, I'm not gonna trade my Doorkeeper Throw for this.
Oh, he double exalted. Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. I need to restart Moto after this. I'm lagging really bad.
Yep. So we get our thrall in. It's a bit redundant to the orb, but that's okay.
So unfortunately, I do have to path them here because I don't want them to untap with the white. Usually I like doing this in upkeep, so if they have another land, it comes in tapped. But if I don't do it now, then they can actually get value out of the white, get a cradle, and then this layer of the Hydra is all of a sudden relevant.
Yeah, and you have a lane on top, so if you want to, you can ponder into that land.
I could, but I also... We could do that. I also
Uh,
like the being able to make a construct here. But if we do that, we're kind of in the same spot. I guess we could just ponder, just to be mana efficient, put the
I
land in
mean,
play, because then what we could
yeah,
also do is get our surveil land, and then we still are super mana efficient. We go down to 7 if we make a construct, which I think is fine actually.
yeah, yeah. I think that's whenever you can ponder into a lane and make it a mana neutral play, it's usually a good call.
Oh, okay. I
So
think I found a better play.
yeah, because now you can null drifter into that lane. So you basically say I play a null drifter instead of making a construct, right?
Yeah, which is just better.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great play. Drawing a couple of cards, and now we're fetching out Tundra. I'm sure you play a bunch of Tundras in this deck. How
Yeah,
many? Three or four?
I think I got 3.
Yeah, three Tundras. I like that a lot when you have the basic suite. So
And then here, I can't play the Ancient Tomb. I'm like getting too low.
yeah, and we need to kill the white,
Yeah,
and then we have to respect Lair of the Hydra a tiny bit here, but it's okay because we don't really care about the Thrall.
yeah.
And
And
let's see if they also teched an additional basic, or we nailed that one at least.
Web Strike Elite and Witherbloom
With a
Command.
bloom. Yep.
I'm a big Witherbloom Command fan. They didn't have another
Absolutely.
basic. And I will not attack here.
Yeah,
My health
I
total
like
is
that
too
a lot.
precious.
So what can we do with that saga? We just getting a dreadnought and trying
Yeah,
to finish things off?
just
Yeah.
get it. This is actually where I do like Mox Diamond 2, is situations like this.
Yeah, it just seems a little. Not that impressive.
This situation happens a lot where if I don't have the Torpor Orb and the Thrall, being able to get Diamond to convert this Ancient Tomb. Okay, so they're going for 2, which means they're getting the guy that I don't
The
even,
cat?
are they getting the cat or are they getting the Artifact Destruction guy? I mean,
Yeah,
we'll see what
I
they
mean,
get.
white is also a good shout here.
Yeah, white's. I think they'd get cat over white. Okay, they got white.
Okay, white of the reliquary.
They can't attack.
And
So let's see what we draw, and then we can make a construct accordingly. Because the
yeah,
construct is actually relatively beefy. So
oh, definitely.
this is where things are interesting. Because if I get a Dreadnought here, we're in a good
Mm-hmm.
spot. I think I do want to just stock up, and I want to be able to cast anything I get off the stock up. So I don't think I make a construct here.
Okay, so you're saying digging for removal is more important than just making a 3/3.
Yeah,
So let's see, how does this game play out? You attack for 4 in the air. The next time you're threatening lethal with Dreadnought, but the opponent has the talents in the deck to kind of slow you down.
yeah, and I'm pretty low. Now a
And you don't
construct
want
could help block too, but the thing
Yeah,
is, I have 2 stock ups in hand, and I'd like to use them. So I almost don't want to Ancient Tomb here because I'm so low, and I don't want to just get got because I lose a lot of games to Ancient Tomb being super low and then just getting whittled down.
mm-hmm.
So,
Okay. So I like this mainly because stock up can hit removal, stock up
hmm,
can hit dreadnoughts, and then you kind of end up. There's so many cases where you end up in a better place than
yeah,
investing 3 mana into a construct. So
yeah. Obviously, if I don't have double stock up, this is very different. But because I have so much use for my mana, I'm just
yeah,
gonna use
I
it.
like
And I'm not
I
gonna
like this a lot.
shuffle yet, just in case I get a brainstorm.
Yeah, I like this a lot. Also, you leave the door open for.
Snuff
Okay,
out.
so we get
It's
that's not
fine.
a that's not a big deal. It's actually good information for us. Oh wow.
Another
Okay,
dread.
there's a dreadnought. I thought it was 5 lands at first.
Dread. That was almost 5 light. That was scary.
Well,
Uh,
maybe just take the archive to play out.
I'm
So you go
thinking if there's
dreadnought
ever a,
archive.
I'm thinking if there's ever a world where I stock up again. The reason I say that is because, uh, actually no, I can't kill them this turn. I was saying if I stock up again and I hit boots, I have lethal, but I can't actually play it all out. Oh, actually, no, I can't. I can't. Okay, yeah, yeah. I think I like Dreadnought Archive here.
Okay, so let's see if we can find something for next turn to kind of ice this game. Removal is awesome. Any,
Saga's not what we're looking for right now.
yeah, I was about to say maybe that's too slow because it doesn't impact the board immediately, and that's kind of what we're looking for.
Yeah, so I think we just play Dreadnought. I think we don't attack here.
Why don't we attack? What's the upside? What's the downside?
Okay, we're at 6. This layer right now is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 4/4. The white is a 3/3 that can become a 4/4 and phase out one of our guys. If they draw any removal and we attack with this, they can phase this out, kill the thrall, and then I'm dead.
Okay, so you're saying if there's the fourth snuff out on top
Yeah.
of the opponent's deck, we're dead. Okay, so what if there isn't?
If there isn't, then they also can't attack because then the dreadnought kills them, no matter what.
Uh,
Because
well,
the dreadnought,
yes.
yeah,
Yeah, I just feel like it's good. It's a good attack here.
because
So do you feel like
it,
okay, so let's go through the scenario of you lose to snuff out if you attack here.
yeah. I
Is that
also
true?
so if I attack with a null drifter here, so they probably sack the basic forest.
Yeah.
They'll have 1, 2, 3. If they get Gaia's Cradle off the top, I can double block. I But then what happens? I probably block here and then block there, and then they phase out. If they get Force of Vigor and I attack with the Null Drifter, then they Force of Vigor, kill my Dreadnought and my Torpor Orb, and then when they attack, they phase out the Doorkeeper Thrall.
Yes. So you lose to a disenchant effect.
Yeah. And if I don't do
Hmm.
anything here, I just win next turn. If they don't draw any removal.
So what's the difference? The next turn, what?
The
Because you
next
can
turn
get
I can
stock up.
stock
Is that
up.
the difference?
Yeah, I can stock up.
Okay. Okay. So let's not lose to the nuts, and at the same time force the opponent to have a sicko draw step, or simply just lose. Okay. I like that. We lose to some cards, and we cannot allow that in a commanding position when the turns are working so well for us.
Yeah,
Let's say we didn't have stock up in hand, then we have a different conversation. But
yeah.
we do only get to see 6 new cards, so
And also our stock up was pretty bad, which is unlikely on average. Because we've only seen 2 removal spells out of our 12.
yeah, that is a very reliable spell, definitely. Um,
Here I'm F6ing just to save time. So they drew a
yeah,
land.
definitely. So why do they play that land out? Because they have Dryad Arbor.
So they attack with white.
Okay, because they want to like phase out the Dreadnought. I don't think that's gonna work well for them.
No, we just win if they do that.
So now they have to play defensively.
Yeah.
And you're definitely right. You're definitely right about the time. Also, we've never played, live before, so our synergy is not, at
Oh,
the top. Okay, nice card.
I think we just plow and see how they react.
Yeah, it's a good call because sure they can phase out that card,
And
but
then they die.
then they're in trouble. So now I expect them to sack a Dryad Arbor and phase out the Dreadnought to, I don't know, not die, which is obviously amazing for you.
Yeah. And then I can just stock up here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, try and bury the opponent completely. Here's Talon on to, let's see.
They have to do the Dreadnought. They have no other choice. Yeah.
Yep, onto the Dreadnought, or it's checkmate, so
So
they
now,
go to 13.
so I think I actually, I have to fetch first just in case. Actually, no, I don't need to get it. Okay.
No, because the bottom
Yeah.
3 cards are bad, so, and you have the third Tundra, so 2 good reasons not to do
Yeah.
it first.
And I realized it's not, I don't actually, okay. So we got a Path and another Null Drifter.
Okay, so we cannot do both.
I think I just take Path and Drifter and play Delta and pass.
Uh,
And then I've
no
guaranteed
attack.
lethal. Yeah. And then I can't die. Now, they've already shown me they've got random bullshit in their deck. I'm not going to lose to random
Oh,
bullshit here.
okay, so what random bullshit kills you here if you attack?
If I attack with Null Drifter, if
Mm-hmm.
they, I guess with Path to Exile, I am pretty insulated to Lair of the Hydra.
Yeah, I don't think you can just chump block.
With the Drifter, yeah.
And then
With
the
the
path.
Thrall.
I think this is a good attack
That's
because
fair.
they're leaning on Exalted, sending one guy, and you're just so good against that, and you don't care about the Thrall.
Yeah.
Last turn, I really liked the no attack. You had very good reasons, and here it's just actually knowing all the details that can happen. The opponent with 0 cards in hand. I think you even account for everything they could possibly draw in Magic here.
Yeah.
Um,
One of the things with Dreadnought, with combat steps frequently, is because I have 12 power, I frequently don't need to like whittle them down. They just
yeah,
die very
yeah,
frequently.
I can definitely see that. So I'm trying to look for the spots where it's risk free.
Yeah, that's fair.
I think it's very good to have that leeway um, when there's some risk involved to not attack and not worry about it. Where, let's say you were attacking for 3 damage at the time out of a Delver deck, then you have to make tougher choices.
Exactly.
But this deck actually offers some luxury in that regard.
And maybe that's one thing that I can work on is not being so scared at times.
It's
Uh,
mainly, yeah, think the your instinct, think it through. Like you say, yeah, then I can ponder into stuff. Then I'm always going to tell you, what can you ponder into? And then if you, oh, I'm scared to die to some bullshit. Okay, what bullshit is that? I'm trying to get you to complete the instinct, basically.
right.
Because your instinct is probably right. I don't know, 9 out of 10 times. But you could, if you apply actual facts, you can get it to 9.5 out of 10.
I think that's right. I think like I lose a lot of equity in games. I would
Yeah, exactly.
just from like respecting too many things.
Yeah,
Maybe I should do
this is
some
good.
Doomsday. I should play
This is a
Doomsday
great
to
way to put it. You lose every time you respect. Every time you see ghosts, you give up a little bit of equity, and then a little more, then a little more,
yeah.
and then if you play Legacy for 5 years, that pile is very, very big. So in the individual, unique case, it might not be the end of the world, but over time, it will add up compared to being on top of your game and giving everything a specific reason and looking for specific answers as often as possible.
The It's interesting you say that because it's kind of funny. It's like the longer you play, the more metas you're exposed to, the more cards you get blown out by, and then you start playing around cards that just aren't in their deck. I talked to a buddy of mine who's a big Doomsday pilot, and he was saying how he was playing around Blood Moon for so long out of this Jund deck and trying to think about how to beat Blood Moon that he built a pile to beat Blood Moon, and then he lost. And then after the game, he asked, "Did you have the Blood Moon?" And his opponent goes, "I don't even have Blood Moon in the 75."
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of what do you call that? Tunnel vision in Magic.
And it was on Doomsday
Especially,
too, where the tunnel vision is extra
oh,
exemplified.
for sure, because the punishment is oftentimes losing on the spot. So there's some experiences that kind of stay with us. Ooh, you get a nice match here.
It's
Awesome.
not INF, it's fake INF. This is Goblins INF.
Oh crap.
So this person is
Okay.
on the Goblins Discord and apparently changed their name because everyone, oh, they're a fan of the stream. They said go to bed.
That's cool.
But
Okay,
they
I see
changed their
now.
name because everyone was mulling to hard removal, and because he usually plays goblins.
That's really funny. That's next level. That's funny. So it's an L.
Yeah,
It's not
it's
an
an
I.
L. It's an L.
Okay.
It's kind of similar to what I'm doing. My hARAIN is an L.
Oh, I actually see that now. Never saw it before. I misspelled it a lot in a lot of titles. So, a lot less exciting here. First of all, being on the draw. Second of all, 4 lands, stuff like that.
Oh, sorry, I like snap kept this saying, but yeah, I would keep this hand.
Yeah, exactly. Brainstorm is a powerful card. I'm just saying it's miles from the other hand. Being on the play, presenting a Dreadnought with Force of Will turn 2.
Do you know what do you know what not how to say Eco Braun. Do you know what Michael Reed Eureka's alt account is?
No, is he okay with you
Yeah,
saying it?
yeah. Everyone
Okay.
knows it. Oh, wait, actually, Mike, can I say it? Are you in the chat? I think everyone knows it.
I don't.
Let me see if he gives me his permission. Here I just thought seize. I mean, here I just ponder off of a tundra.
Yeah. So that's
Actually,
basic. Play Vile.
I think I should have played Polluted Delta and got basic, but I don't think it really matters because I don't
Yeah.
think I'm getting. But I should have played Delta because I can't get planes.
Yeah, because now you can't pair it with planes. So
I think now at this point I'm just committed to Tundra. Oh,
I don't think. I think Tundra is good. I don't think it's the end of the world if you could wasteland
oh,
it. The Vile is annoying though. Okay, so the Orb is probably pretty strong.
yeah. I'm gonna hide that on top.
Okay, that's a very good habit I was about to mention here, that if you're gonna not play the top card from Ponder now, and you play against a deck that in some absurd universe could have a discard spell, then it's just a good habit. So very, very happy to see that one.
He said I could say it. His meme account is turn one initiative when he plays Doomsday. That's his
Okay,
alt account. If you ever run into turn one initiative, it's Michael Reed playing Doomsday.
that is taking it to a level that I don't think is is very smart, but w- it's not a good investment. It's a better investment to have a larger range of decks that you can play, and then you know let the opponent do the bad scouting that way. Okay, so we played the orb. What kind of cards is the orb stopping these days out of this nice looking goblins deck? Is this still a ringleader deck?
I honestly have no idea what's in this deck anymore.
So Bombardiers is a card I can.
Oh, that's what it
Okay, nice one.
stops.
Nice 1/1.
All
Well,
right.
imagine broadside bombardiers there so how do you feel about brainstorming first?
I don't like it because I don't know what they have yet. So I'd rather just play the fetch land since I have two and get ridiculous archive. Meticulous. I call it ridiculous archive because
That is a good one.
every time I played Goryo's Vengeance, it was always entombed for me in modern. So it's either miraculous
So
archive or ridiculous archive.
so
Anyway,
so you're saying since we're not looking for some obvious stuff like, I don't know, a force,
yeah.
then
If they had
doing
broadside,
it
they would have played broadside here instead of the matron into my torpor orb.
I don't think so.
You don't
They
think
could want you to tap out and then go for the bombardiers and fling it
that?
rather than put it out there, attack for 2 and then get it plowed. I don't think it's. They could easily have bombardier in hand and then they want to use that matron as a lava axe.
That's fair. And I did ancient tomb
Um,
myself down too, so they could burn me out.
yeah,
But no matter
that
what,
would.
but even if I
I'm.
brainstorm here, I'm not casting when I play off brainstorm because I'm playing null drifter.
I mean, if you hit Dreadnought plow, you make another plan.
That's
If you hit
true.
double Dreadnought, you make another plan.
The th- be-
So you has some stuff that would alter your plan here.
That's a good point. Actually, if I hit exactly, and there's no reason not to if we think we're going to do it anyway.
I think one of the worst things we can do right now is to say, "Huh, look at that guy. He played a 3-mana 1/1." We kind of need to respect our opponent's both choices and deck building and strength. So I'm big into the brainstorm. I don't think it's just exposing yourself to upside here, in my opinion. So let's see, can we do it?
Another null
We
drifter
did.
is good.
We didn't really get anywhere, and now we're gonna go shields down null drifter.
I'd probably just bin 2 lands here.
Yeah. So do you want a spare fetch in the chamber for the brainstorm next turn,
Yeah, I definitely
or
want
do you
one
want to
fetch.
save life points?
I want to save life points, so I'd keep one fetch and one non-fetch,
Sure.
and then I'd fetch here because I don't want to trade through those lands.
Fetch Tundra, draw some freshies.
Yep.
This is the kind of game where we could potentially just lose, quote unquote, out of nowhere, because we are tapping our ancient tomb over and over, and we're not, putting our opponents dead. So I'm pretty
Yeah.
interested to see how this works. The munition expert, another pseudo brick under a torpor orb, and now it's. Let's see if the slow rolled bombardier is in fact in the opponent's hand.
It is uncounterable. It is the slow roll bombardiers. And what else? Another bombardiers? Double
Another
bombardier.
guy.
So I think we're
Is
dead
that?
here.
I would guess you're a toast. So block
They
that.
take 5 plus 4, 9.
5, and then they can do 10 afterwards. Okay. So we died out of nowhere to the bombardiers, which is it's good. It's good learning that it's interesting. Your first instinct was they wouldn't have played a 1/1 if they had bombardier.
Yeah.
So I'm actually quite happy this game happened because that's something that it's very good to just be suspicious whenever very unimpressive stuff happens. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like your first instinct was we're cruising. My first instinct is disasters right around the corner, which is interesting because obviously it's not like I know the future. It's just a good investment to think about the worst things that can happen.
No, that
So
was good. I mean, so I take out my forces because they're a Cavern of Souls deck and a Vile deck. So there's a good
yeah,
chance it just doesn't do
bad timing
anything.
on those. Agree.
So we can take out a Spell Pierce because I don't really. There's not the only thing we really Spell Pierce out of them is going to be
I
like.
like the I like the endings here as vile /
Yeah.
lackey disenchants or
Yeah.
kill dead.
I don't know if I bring in Wrath of the Skies. I'm not sure because I don't really want to cut
I
anything
think they
else.
have too many 2s, 3s, and 4s.
Exactly.
I want one more ending here.
So
How much do you think you need to grind against this deck? Do you need all your 8 divinations?
I definitely, if anything, I'd cut an Ancient Tomb because it can be a liability as we saw there. Especially since we know we're on the play, it's not as important. I do like to
I
cut
like I
Ancient.
like I like I like keeping those. What about the boots? How many hasted guys do you think you need?
In this matchup, probably not. Only because like we're not. They're the aggro deck here. Like we're not. We don't need to kill
Yeah.
them dead.
Hmm.
I mean, we could take out a stock up.
Yeah, that's what I thought about, that we spend a lot of time, interacting with our opponent, that
Yeah.
let's say you draw two copies, that could be so, clunky.
Yeah. We could take a stock up out. I think I like that.
Because your deck is set up to really grind
Yeah.
and I think the game we just played is not going to be an anomaly. Like you play an Null Drifter and you die because you tapped out is super reasonable.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have a ton of those in hand.
Same
Nice
thing.
Mox Diamond.
Yeah. Here it's actually good because we are actually going to draw a lot of cards. So I would just
Yeah,
keep this. I'm not
I
going
like it. I
to
like
play
that.
the Mox Diamond yet, only because we don't need
You
to.
can do it. You can do it to save life.
The the only things I want an Ancient Tomb put it out because the other thing with Mox Diamond is if we draw an Ancient Tomb off the Null Drifter, I wouldn't want a Mox Diamond that.
hmm
And I don't. We're not really going to do anything with the
Another
mana.
another good reason to go turn one Tomb Orb it and holding the diamond is then you can go turn two Ending Vial and Null Drifter. So
Yeah.
the Ancient Tomb is actually super valuable because you need to turbo out your hand here. So
Yeah.
I like it for a lot of reasons.
If like we could play the Mox Diamond and pretend we have something here, but I'd rather not commit it because it is card disadvantage right
Yeah,
now.
yeah, it's not useful.
Okay. So they have the Wasteland. That's fine. Here I would just probably play Saga Pass.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think, can we ever get punished for slow rolling the diamond?
I
Would
don't,
that deck sideboard in Thoughtseize?
no, I don't think they would sideboard in Thoughtseize. I
I
don't,
think I'd play it out there because there's a higher likelihood they have Thoughtseize than one mana artifact destruction.
okay, so the Aether Vial's in, but I don't think we need to respect it yet because it's a turn 2 vial.
Also, we have good things to do here.
Here,
So,
I would probably just play out the Tundra and put the Mox Diamond with the Plains because they're incentivized to Wasteland the Saga anyway.
yeah, I like that a lot. So we have a better play than Saga. That's kind of a nice recurring theme. That if you have something better to do than activate your Ursa Saga, you're usually in a great spot.
Yeah, and that happens a lot with the deck. Sagas are
I can
mostly
see
there
that.
to get the
I can
Dreadnoughts, to get more
Sure.
Dreadnoughts. But
Yeah, it's just very cool that when you have a deck that they have to worry about the saga, but you can some frequently have better things to do. Coming from, I play a lot of vintage, so
that's
that is
true.
just an incredible spot to be in.
So here I would actually, I could either get Dreadnought, or I can get Lobster Boots with the Dreadnought and hit them for 17 right now.
Can we? Oh wow, you can even ending the vial, you
Yeah.
dirty boy. So let's try and think.
So I
What
think
can
that,
they?
yeah. We could also just put double Dreadnought in play and pending the Vial and call it a day. It's technically the same
Both
clock.
things are winning next turn,
Hmm.
but double dreadnought is better against one removal spell.
Yeah. And I don't
So
know.
I like that for those reasons.
So we'll put
Uh
Dreadnought.
huh. Oh boy, you're even holding up. So I guess, wait a minute, maybe you should. Can you tap your Tundra instead? It's just good habit against Wasteland deck.
Oh, that's a good point.
Um, so in some game it will matter.
Yeah.
Um, and it might not be this one.
They're gonna, yeah. And then
Okay,
we
nice
swing
job.
in. Yeah.
So you just obviously this was the nuts. You overwhelmed them entirely, and you didn't care about their Wasteland because you drew an additional land like a champ. So
We do have 20 in the
very
deck.
very clean stuff. Yeah, 20 is the lowest Mox Diamond deck ever. 20 lands.
It's only
Usually
one.
when you yeah, definitely. It's mainly just every deck in history, like lands and four color loam and stuff
Hmm.
like that. It's like if you need more than 25 lands for that because that card is not good. Instead of a land, you need like three lands, a diamond, and three spells for your hand to like in your opener, right?
Yeah.
So to your you already explained that it's kind of it's a mid game thing for you with getting colored mana instead of dead ancient
Exactly.
tombs when the games go a bit longer and stuff like that. So
It's also
it's just
because we have two sagas, we can get it reliably, and I've won a lot of games off the back of getting the third color from Diamond for my prismatic endings.
yeah, that's the dream when
To
you get to do some weird stuff.
It's very relevant when Painter is relevant. It's not really relevant right now, but it's nice to
Yeah,
have a third pending color just for like miscellaneous things too.
you
So
you never know when you need to kill a broadside bombardier with
yeah,
ending.
yeah. I mean, I hope I don't have to run into that. Um,
It's interesting with the colors. I play a lot of dual commander, and sometimes my opponent plays an Urborg, and then I can prismatic ending for 4 out of my Jeskai deck, which is I've killed a Children before
oh,
where that's the dream and not for the opponent, where you only have access to 3 colors normally, right? So you need a little bit of help with one of the 2 lands, Yevimaya or Urborg, to get to 4.
I do appreciate when people Urborg when I am playing a Trax and dual commander. It just turns on because my mana is atrocious in that deck, and having an
Yes,
Urborg is like, oh, this is so dice.
the mana fixing there is cool. Okay, for the marbles here on the draw against goblins.
Mulligan.
Your zero lands is obviously not very interesting.
This is
Okay,
keep.
yeah, this is awesome. This is what we're hoping for.
I would actually been brainstorm here.
Yeah, so let's hear your logic about that one.
I don't want to bid a land because they showed us they're on wastelands. They kept 7, and I really, really, really don't want to be in a situation where I'm just digging for lands. Like if I
Hmm.
I want to be able to stock up on turn 2. So if I get rid of the Otawara, if I get rid of the brainstorm, it does turn like I don't have a turn 2 play. But it also means that I have my second land drop and I also have a plow to hold off pressure. And if they don't
Yeah,
have wasteland, but they are on the play, so they will be more incentivized to wasteland in general. But I do want to respect wasteland and make sure I can keep hitting my land drops. Now you could argue that brainstorm is a way to get land drops,
yeah,
uh, but I'm emotionally scarred from brainstorm locking myself too
yeah,
many times.
yeah. I think the biggest reason that I agree with binning the brainstorm is that we already like what we have going on, and
Exactly.
your hand is hedging a tiny bit against wasteland. Let's say you don't have the plow, then I think you bin another card. Let's
Yes.
say you don't have the
Yes.
stock up, then I
Exactly.
think you bin another card. So it's
Exactly.
like we already have the different categories of cards that we're looking for.
Yeah.
Um, so for those reasons, I get rid of Brainstorm. Also, I expect us to tap out a lot in the early turns. Let's
Yeah.
hope it's Lackey here. Okay, it's not Lackey.
So here,
But I
just
expect us to tap out a lot. So that just makes Brainstorm worse. That's why you've never seen Brainstorm in, let's say, Merfolk lists, right? So
yeah,
when you have a curvy draw, Brainstorm is not a good card in your deck.
right.
And this hand has that. We expect to tap out quite a bit the first 3-4 turns, and at that point, you know, we will draw some more cantrips. Or so it's also to say that if we draw a second Brainstorm or Ponder, it's actually going to be a bad draw. So we want to mitigate some variance, which is
Yeah.
kind of funny because Brainstorm is usually the other way around, where you ensure that you get to play the game. Oh,
Uh,
what is that one? I've never seen that card before. Nice draw, by the way.
other
So
creatures you
2/2
control. Oh,
goblin.
but they need to pay a mana for that.
That is a sick card. Okay, so you drew Null Drifter, which I expect is going to be your play,
Uh,
and now your choice is whether to expose your white source or to play the Otawara out.
I'm just gonna play the Ottawa out because I have plow in hand.
Yeah, so let's say you don't draw land in your top 3, and you get wasted on the Tundra, you don't look like a jerk. Okay, checks out.
If I draw Mox Diamond here, we're very happy.
Also, a small downside is that if you draw another plow, you can and a land, you cannot double plow on the next turn cycle. So you are giving up some equity here, um, but you're respecting wasteland. So counter argument: if the opponent had a wasteland, do you think they play the 2/2 or wasteland your tomb? I think they wasteland your
They
tomb.
always set my tomb.
Okay. So if we agree about that, then we're playing around our opponent's top card being wasteland, which might be a bit of a stretch
And I'm not
because we're
super
giving up.
worried about.
Let's just say you drew another plow here. And you get overwhelmed. You can only cast one plow next turn. Then that's kind of a problem, right? Oh,
Yeah.
that card. That
That's
is
fine.
okie dokie.
I
So
mean,
that's a good old 4 for 1.
yeah. So here, I think it's just play Dreadnought, play Tundra, pass, don't tap the tomb. I want to hold up plow.
Yeah, we learned our lesson game 1.
I'll play out the Tundra first, just to have a good habit of playing that out for brainstorm purposes if we still have Force Will in our deck.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I just
That
pass
is
here.
That's a good call because you're going to do it anyway, so you might
Yeah,
as well do it. So in a situation like that, you don't have to necessarily say, "Oh, the opponent could have X, Y, Z." It's mainly just if they have some random stuff, we play it out so we can respond. So it's just there's no reason to keep your opponent guessing for half a second whether you have a land or not. It's not relevant for their plays, so we just play it out to have as much stuff to do
right.
possible. So the opponent plays a land. They did not play land last turn. Yes, they didn't play a land last turn, so the opponent's hand is 3 spells.
Yeah. And they already Pyrokinesis, which doesn't handle Dreadnought.
So which kind of disenchant goblins exist? Back in the day, it was Tint Straight Hooligan, but
They
I
have it's
expect...
the 4-drop guy that you
Ooh, the
sack again.
Trash Master.
Yeah.
The Trash Master, he's insane. I played that again, Goblins, like a year ago before the sticker thing got banned. I can't remember which deck it was for. I believe there was some kind of deck in the format where maybe
So
like Mystic Forge or something.
hear me out. I would brainstorm here. I
So that's fine.
I really don't want to tap my Ancient Tomb anymore.
So now your game plan is to hit 2 times and win while not losing in the meantime.
Yeah. They're gonna
I like
Pyroblast,
that
so
a
I
lot.
brainstorm. That's fine.
Yeah, you got me, buddy.
So
Definitely not a problem.
here I'll open on brainstorm again.
Yeah, I like it. We do it first main. Some stuff might happen, or we change our plan a slight bit here, so now we can play that card and hold up plow. Do you like that?
I do like that. I wish I could play the Saga, but I don't think I can. But I'm just gonna shuffle that instead. So I'm gonna put
Mm-hmm.
Tundra or Saga down.
Okay.
Play out the fetch land.
So we go to 11 here.
Yeah, which is a little scary,
So
but we do have plow, and we also, because we're so up on cards, we can always plow our own Dreadnought.
yeah, let's hope it doesn't come to that.
Honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world with the stock up in hand.
Right. Um, maybe this is where you attack first and see if there's anything weird. Because in theory, something could happen here that alters your play. So
Yeah.
I like attacking first here. It's mainly you have to ask yourself: is combat predictable, or is combat somewhat of an unknown entity? And that's kind of why we should have pondered first in
The
the
Shuffler is
previous
bugged.
match.
The Shuffler is fucking bugged. Those are the same 2 cards we put back. The Shuffler is bugged. I swear to God.
um, so here we had a good reason to attack first. In the other game, we had a good reason to ponder first. So it's good to look for those things. Nice matron.
And then now they have 1 card in hand, and we have a plow to answer whatever they play here.
So it goes up to 4, so that's
Sure.
them saying I need to draw the Trash Master, I
Yeah.
guess. Let's see if they drew the Trash Master. It looks like the GG's here.
Yeah, GG's.
Okay. Yeah, nice Wasteland. Way too late. Oh, let's see it. Let's see it.
Slinging
Blingang.
also doesn't do anything with the plow.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know what that is. Okay,
Create a
so
4/4 treasure token with flying.
yeah, I mean, it didn't. We needed to put on pressure on our opponent here. Otherwise, we could die to random stuff. That was cool.
The this is what I mean. So I was talking about this earlier. I don't know if I talked about this with you, but Wizards power has been power creeping the game a lot in the last 5 years, and one of the key
No idea what you're talking about.
one of the ways, one of the most key ways that Wizards will power creep, and one of the most key like mechanics they have is enter the battlefield abilities. So
Sure.
even though Phyrexian Dreadnought does die to more and more removal, the removal isn't keeping up with the pace of the threats. And so
Hmm.
as long as Wizards keeps printing powerful ETBs, I think
Yeah.
Dreadnought just keeps staying up like a very powerful deck, a very powerful presence. I think the entirety of the Dreadnought archetype it hinges on the fact that there's so much power creep running around that
Yeah.
the that we know we're just in this spot of tr- stopping ETBs while also enabling ours will always be good. Now, I don't know
Yeah,
if
that's pretty good. That's a pretty good analysis. That will make Torpor Orb have, more durability in when it comes to playability. Whatever in time has flown by, so we kind of reached the conclusion of my involvement, at least.
yes. Oh, we're playing as Painter.
Um,
Do
so
you?
just to wrap up, I really thought it was cool with the back and forth.
Here,
We
I'll
had some
just
cool
concede this game.
situations. Oh, you shouldn't have done that.
I don't care. I have so many play points. I'd rather have like a proper discussion before you go.
Yeah. So it was just to say that this way of playing is pretty awesome because it tests our ability to put our theory and all the research we've done, and but then also when you have two people you kind of question the instinct stuff, and then maybe some of that stuff sticks with you, some of the logics, and then you evolve, piece by piece. Magic is a lot about how I feel about it anyway, is that day to day it's hard to measure your improvement. But let's say I go 1 year back and then you can really see the improvement. That's how it is for me anyway. The biggest thing for me these days is the hand reading, the analysis, all the reasons, applying an explanation to as much as possible in a game so that as few things as possible is random, with the logic that trying to control what we can control, and then we just have to believe that that's enough to put us over the hump at the end of the day. Because sometimes you play your best Magic and you just get cooked. Sometimes you don't play well and you just randomly win, right? So you need to find out
One of my friends,
why. Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
one of my good friends told me the same thing. A PT player, a friend of mine, actually. He was watching me play a game. We were just like hanging out in a van. He was watching me play a game. And I said, bro, I played that so bad. And he said, bro, the games I win, even at the PT, are some of the games where I play the worst. I swear to God.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, somebody has to win, and
Yeah,
you're two people at the table. So, but we still have to believe that the harder we study the game and think about the game, and the better we are, we're gonna win more, right? That's still true, but sometimes we just need a very big sample size in order to
yeah,
see that improvement. I see a lot of players get discouraged in the short term, but everybody who sticks with it, then they get elevated to a certain place, and then they're just so happy they put in the work. So it's a lot about trusting the
yeah,
the process when it comes to improving and finding. I think it's awesome just pointing out that, oh, you made a sick play. You played around the opponent drawing exactly the fourth snuff out, so that's why we don't attack, because we don't want to lose this game, right? You
yeah,
got that game from a 99% to 100% by applying that analysis, right? And that was amazing to see. For me, that's like a win in itself, that you played around the nuts in a situation where you could afford to.
yeah.
So I just get happy. I'm like a small puppy, and then that's my treat. That's my treat when I do some trick. It's like, oh, I thought about this whatever card in this situation. I think that's just so cool.
And I really like the play where I said maybe they just played this. They didn't play the broadside because they didn't
Yeah.
have it. So I remember a long time ago I told you when people make odd plays, I just assume they're misplaying and don't think too hard about it. And your first instinct was, I think they're playing this to prep for a lava axe to the face, and they had double broadside. So
Yeah.
it was like, wow, I really need to stop just thinking people are just doing
Hmm.
whatever, and there's like a reason.
Yeah.
Like,
That's a big one. I've been the same up until, maybe like a year ago, where it's like, oh wow, that play is terrible, and then, oh, I guess I didn't think about that. So I just don't want to. I just want to assume that my opponent knows what they're doing, because if they don't, I like my position in general, so might as well give them the credit. To at the very least build good habits for myself.
the no, and that was when that happened. I was like, oh no. And the other time you were right when I was like, ah, yeah, no, we're fine. This torpor orb is fine. And then they Witherbloom commanded it, and they web striked my Dreadnought. I was like, because you were just saying how I was so confident I knew they're 75. Well, I did
Well,
get double
yeah, that was
cooked.
that was quite funny because yeah, they have no outs. What about Grist? They don't play that anymore. Okay, well, there's that. And then the next game we were kind of soft about Master, didn't even consider it because, Newton doesn't play it, so we just jam, right? It's just to say that some of the stuff that you use to your advantage out of your deck, where the opponent will get a nasty surprise now and then, could also be true in the other direction. So research is good, but then still having an open mind for, for instance, the other day my friend played the showcase and he played against a guy who played blue white, qualified with like a blue white deck, Tameo Murktide,
Yeah.
infinite removal deck. But he showed Volcanic Island, and then I was like, in this metagame, there does exist a world where he could play main deck Pyroblast, and my friend was like, "There's no way," and he played main deck Pyroblast in that tournament. So it's just to say that we can do our research, but then we also have to leave the door somewhat open to,
JPA playing Thoughtseize in his Sneak and Show deck that he built 30 seconds before the event.
Yeah, that was also a good one. Yeah, I love high level magic. So hopefully we can do this again. We can do this again next week, and we think out a master plan that works. You also had another idea before coming up with this one.
The
So
sideboarding, because I
yeah,
think I built a good sideboard, but I am so like I people so I talk a lot, I contribute a lot in the Dreadnought Discord, and a lot of people use my lists. Um,
yeah,
and people always ask about sideboarding stuff. And when I was working with Brosh and Roll on his Eternal Weekend list, and we were talking about sideboarding, he said, "Do you have like a sideboard?" I'm like, honestly, bro, I was sideboarding on vibes the whole weekend. Like I was just like, I was kind of vibe checking my Reanimator opponents if I think they were going to be bringing in. Like in all my games against Reanimator, I like stared at their hands just like this, just like kind of like they didn't see me staring, and I'd look like how many cards they bringing in, and that was part of the reason why I won every game against Reanimator. Was because I was like watching like how many cards you bringing in here, bro? How many cards are we
yeah,
seeing? Because if I see like 10 cards coming in, I'm like, all right, I'm putting in one Grafdigger's Cage. That's it, all my removal, and I
sure.
was always rewarded for it.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. But yeah, there's definitely levels to that. It's good to be dynamic, but it's also good to have this foundation that you can rely on when in doubt. So I think a good mix while still staying true to how you enjoy to play the game, where you can kind of go off the beaten path a little bit and put your own, spice on it. So let's see if we can find a good mix a week from now.
Yeah,
Um,
and I'm still working on the deck too. Hopefully, I'll have Clarion Conquerors by then too, which will definitely add,
oh yeah.
will change a lot actually. That
Hmm.
totally changes the sideboard dynamic in a lot of these. Like against Blue Painter, like my sideboard game is all of a sudden infinitely better because I don't have Red
Yeah,
Blast.
it seems to check a lot of boxes, so I'm excited for that one. But that's going to be it for me for today,
Yes.
everyone. Thanks so much for a good time and an awesome display of some beatings delivered to your opponents.
No, I appreciate you coming on. Thanks for working on me so with this so late. Next Monday I'll be fine. I have my bachelor party this weekend, but I will be home by Monday.
Oh, amazing! So some cool stories to share a week from now. I'm
Not
looking
maybe
forward.
not to share, but cool stories for sure.
Okay, fair
Maybe
enough.
maybe share
But
in
yeah,
Discord DMs.
yeah. Make sure to have a fun time, and
I
I'll speak
appreciate
to
it.
you
All right,
in a week.
I'll see you in a week. Thank you so much,
See
man.
you,
Have a
buddy.
good rest of your day.
Thanks, Ben.
All right, chat. I think it's my bedtime. It is now 1 o'clock in the morning. Is there any rulings